I really have never encountered a more magical, dramatic, powerful landscape than the Swiss mountains. I'm Bettina. I live in Switzerland, in Basel. Even though I live in the third largest city, it takes me 1.5 hours, and I'm in the middle of the Swiss Alps. Within 45 minutes, I'm up on 10,000 feet. I often think about what it is that makes it so special. It's just all the colors and the lights that can change within minutes. The weather is very unstable in the mountains. It's all the different surfaces, it's the value changes, it's the shades, it's the shapes. I grew up in the understanding that I'm not creative, because the Swiss school system trains the children more on figurative perfection than on creativity. My interest was sparked by attending a workshop from a friend of mine who invited me, a 2-day weekend workshop. She was teaching abstract acrylics. I don't know what happened in that workshop, but ever since I have not stopped painting. I soon realized that acrylic might not be my medium. It felt too artificial. So I started my research and I found a different artist that I really fell in love with instantly. And she was particularly focusing on working with building materials and textured surfaces. Her process was very intuitive and abstract. I'm an abstract painter and I love abstraction because it leaves so much room for interpretation for the receiver of the art. I don't want to have too much guidance on what this painting is supposed to do for me. I love being in my studio, which when I open the door, it's really going to my safe haven. It's my space. It's also a teaching studio. I teach classes there. I love the energy of the place. And it's just where I go and recharge, where I can fill up my energy, because even though if I'm just having a coffee there, thinking about my next workshop or thinking about my next work, it just is such a positive environment, and I couldn't be without it anymore. I never start a painting with a clear vision on what it will be. So through my intuitive painting process, it's my inner self, my inner pictures, my inner world that is kind of getting out onto the canvas. These inner pictures, they're always very reduced, they're simplified, they are not recognizable at first sight. One of my methods to tell my stories is really creating textured surfaces. To create my textures, I really like to use different kinds of building materials. I primarily use pit lime, marble dust, concrete, gypsum, sand, different kinds of sands, ashes. I explored wax as of 2016. I worked with different kinds of wax until I came across encaustic in 2017. And ever since I've been hooked. So it's one of my favorite materials to work with. The wax as such is a building material. If you think about how the bees create their hives, I often take pictures of weathered surfaces, of floors, of walls. On a trip to Sicily about 10 years ago, I discovered that all these billboard walls that were not currently in use had a very interesting surface. The different shapes, the colors, this story that these surfaces tell is something that particularly fascinates me. For instance, I took pictures of a weathered balcony floor. And coming home, I felt like I wanted to paint it, but I just didn't figure it out how to appropriately interpret that template. And now in my most recent series, the Enzo series, if I now compare the surfaces of these paintings, they look very, very much like those photographs I took back 14 years ago. And so I think that is very symptomatic on how these pictures, they are stored somewhere internally. At any given moment, they can come out and then be part of my work. From my professional life, I needed to be very detail-oriented and very perfectionist as a lawyer. And in art, on the other hand, in my studio, I still can be detail-oriented, but I avoid perfection, and it is very freeing. The Japanese tradition of wabi-sabi that always leaves that little piece of imperfection to make it look harmonious and to make it look interesting is something I'm absolutely fascinated with. The most important part of my personal journey really was that discovery of creativity that I felt I don't have. And this is one of the reasons why I started to teach, and it's really in the focus of my teaching to foster and create that trust in the students that they are creative. In my 2 classes on painting with fire, I would love to take you to the Swiss Alps. I would love to try to inspire you by what's inspiring me. And we will be creating dramatic surfaces and combine them with encaustic medium. And in the other lesson, we will be working on imperfection. I am very much looking forward to be part of the Painting with Fire program.